Lanzarote is one of the beautiful Canary Islands, situated just off the coast of Africa, where it's summer all the year round. The island offers magnificent beaches with miles of golden sand. The Spanish-speaking local people are friendly and helpful to holidaymakers. From the restaurant and bar on top of Montana del Fuego, you can survey the volcanic craters that changed the shape of this island in the 18th century. That you are standing on top of a volcano soon becomes apparent, as you see bracken pushed into a hole in the rock suddenly burst into flames, and water turns to steam in seconds.
Just one brand new man to love me makes a brand new woman of me. I like variation. There's a pounding in my ears. I'm blushing after 7 years. That's just good circulation. I buy a dress on Monday. The dress looks great on Monday. It's on my cook by Sunday. A lady needs a change.
Every day, millions of words are turned into the thousands of articles, news items and advertisements covering a multitude of subjects that go to make up the world's daily newspapers, magazines and technical journals. Most companies, whether large or small, are interested in what the press has to say about them, about their products, about their competitors. This information and much more has probably been reported in one or more of the national or provincial daily newspapers, if only they could afford the time to find it. That is the problem. Romeike and Curtis, the press clipping bureau, supply the answer.
Okay, we're going to take you through today's hottest workout on the planet. Today I want you to work that body, but first of all let's take safety into account and bring Samantha over here. Okay, now one of the problems with many people, and especially in ladies, is that they do lock the arm out against the joint. You can see Sam's got a banana arm here. That doesn't happen with me, it doesn't happen with Jamie. Okay, we're focusing on working the muscles. If we constantly keep snapping the joints locked against the joint, this can lead to tennis elbow and discomfort through training. So make sure when you're punching it's a natural position. If I relax here, my arm's bent, it isn't locked. Okay, so if you just bring your hands up, that's how I want you to punch. Also when we're kicking, thank you so much.
123 Las Brisas is a luxury one-bedroomed bungalow that has everything you could possibly want in a holiday home. The open-plan design of the living area consists of a kitchen dining room and lounge. Both are beautifully furnished. The lounge, with its three-seater settee, coffee table and 2 easy chairs, is lit by wall and table lights, and combined with the local artifacts and pictures give the whole area a country cottage feel. Here, after a hard day by the pool, you can relax, enjoy a meal and a drink, and even watch Sky TV if the fancy takes you.
The vertical are anchored to the cristogalli of the ethmoid bone, and the horizontal are anchored to the petrous portions of the temporal bone and to the sphenoid, the anterior and posterior parts of the sphenoid. So if we look at an overall view of the dura, you have the dura around the brain and around the endosteum, the reciprocal tension membranes, dural tube, terminating at the second sacral tubercle. Each spinal nerve root has a dural sleeve which terminates at the dural port, which then becomes continuous with the epineurium of the nerve.
I've sailed the 7 seas, me boys, from Iceland to Zanzibar. But the greatest trip that I ever did make was the voyage of the Capilla, me boys, the voyage of the Capilla.
I'm going to try to tell you about a voyage round the world in a sailing vessel. But before I begin, I think I better give you an idea of how I came to be serving in sailing vessels at all. My first job at sea, in fact, was in a small coaster on the London River, a funny little vessel, rather like a barge, and she had a crew of 5, 4 of whom were officers. So you can imagine that I was kept pretty busy. And in fact, I learned more seamanship in that little ship in a year than I ever did later. That was because I knew absolutely none when I joined her.
City Crown has spent nearly 30 years as front-runners in the development and production of machines dedicated to the manufacture of contact lenses. We are proud to present the very latest development to add to our extensive range of lathe. The Series 9 Aspheric Lathe. After the takeover of City Crown by Max Gefeller AG of Switzerland in 1991, we began a program of research and development specifically aimed at producing machines that would enable our customers to operate their businesses more profitably. We perceived greater competition from molding companies, causing falling retail prices of finished lenses, rising labor, material, tooling and overhead costs, a variety of problems which would face lens manufacturers. We therefore realized that in order to offer machines that would provide a competitive advantage in an increasingly hostile market, they would have to be faster, more accurate, easier to use, more reliable and capable of earning back their value more quickly.
Last year's crime figures show a sharp increase in the number of assaults on women, but it's widely accepted that that's just the tip of the iceberg, and that there are many more assaults that go unreported. But from those that do come to light, it's clear that few victims offer any resistance to their attacker, and that's probably because they have no idea how to defend themselves effectively.
The most important factor in self-defense of any kind is what we call RMA, the right mental attitude. And the right mental attitude is not aggression, as some may think. It is commitment. 100% commitment to defending yourself physically if the need arises. Many critics of systems of self-defense for women claim that any woman that attempts to defend herself against a heavier, stronger, perhaps armed opponent will only encourage that opponent to be more aggressive. This is not true. Counter-strikes in real situations must be carried out with maximum force. I'm going to ask my friend Ty to come on here and to help me to demonstrate the escape from a rear chokehold. Right, so this is a classic rear chokehold with the forearm being used to exert pressure on the windpipe. If Tyrone were really doing this, I wouldn't be able to speak to you now. Apart from being dangerous, it's also very painful, and you have to be aware that you don't panic in the first few seconds. In order to release the pressure that is placed here on the windpipe, you must turn your head to the side. Bring the chin down either into the crook here of the elbow, or if you were facing that way when you were attacked, then take it to the wrist, but press down really hard with your chin. At the same time as you do this, you bring your right hand up and grasp firmly on your attacker's upper arm. Obviously, if it's his left arm that's around your neck, then you use your left hand to do the grab. Having done that, you move your hips to the side and step out and strike at his groin with a backwards, upwards strike, a chopping motion. The striking area that you're using is the fleshy ridge here of skin just between the little finger bone and the wrist bone. Okay? The thumb should be well tucked in so that you don't catch that. Notice that my arm is canted. This is to allow for the difference in height between myself and the attacker. If he was shorter, then the arm would be straighter. So it's very important that you practice with various height opponents in order that your response will be instinctive and that you'll go straight to the target area. Having struck your opponent here in the groin, he will probably emit a scream and then bend forward, like so. This is your cue to pull down on this arm and simply turn away from him, making sure that the knees are bent and the hips are back. He will then fall to the ground like that. We'll do it again now at a more realistic speed, and you'll see that you've got really quite a lot of time if you don't panic. There you go. Okay, thanks, Ty. We're now going to ask Christine to come on and demonstrate the move again.
Let's sit back and watch Hans Nielsen's triumphant return to Cowley.
and I can do the very final process, which is the thinning out, using my fingers again, with plenty of water, of the very top. I'm going to pinch it gently and working all the way around, letting the top soften again as I'm doing it. Just to flute the end a little bit more and make it more delicate. Now, I think that that's possibly enough on the whirler, and I'll bring it back down here to work with it, and can now hold it again in my hand, which is the beauty of the thumb pot. You get much more the feel of it than perched up on a whirler, but it's useful for joining the foot.
Hello, I'm Helga Rubinstein, and on this tape we're going to cook together a dinner for 6 people for a special occasion. Now, you know, most of us who cook for a family can produce a really nice meal without too much trouble. But every now and then there comes a moment when we want to do something extra special. Perhaps it's a family celebration, or somebody important's coming to dinner, or we want to have a really lovely evening with friends. So we want to cook a really festive meal, and that's the kind of meal we're going to cook together on this tape. Now, let's get started, and let's start with the lemon sorbet. What I'm going to need to make the lemon sorbet is 8 ounces of sugar, I've got that measured out here, 3/4 of a pint of water, and enough lemons to make 1/4 of a pint of lemon juice. That'll be something between 3 and 6 lemons. It just depends on how big they are. And then later on, I'm going to need 2 egg whites as well. Now, I'm going to start. I'm going to put the sugar in the saucepan, to add the water, give it a stir, and take it to the stove and bring it to the boil. I'm going to bring the syrup to the boil now. Got this hot plate on at the highest setting, but I'm going to stir it until the sugar has completely dissolved, because if the syrup comes to the boil before the sugar's dissolved, it crystallizes when it freezes and you get a really gritty sorbet, and we don't want that.